Everybody, it's Tyler here at the Texas Cup, checking in team number 5411. RoboTalons coming in from Prosper. We're going to be showing off this really cool, not only a great aesthetic machine, but a great performing machine as well too. So can't wait to talk more about what's going on for that. And to help me out with that, I have Will, Jackson, and Fishboy, who's going to be going through some of the different mechanisms, cool operating console, all this and more coming up on Behind the Bumpers.
Giving you a voice.
Making it loud our own way.
Welcome to the fun.
We would like to thank our friends at Stryker for supporting fun so we can continue to make content for you. Stryker is a leading medical device company and is looking for those in FIRST to join their team as interns or for a great career. Come join a company that will actively support you being in FIRST at careers.stryker.com. If you're on an FRC or FTC team and you're currently meeting safely in person and have a functional robot, we'd love to have you on our Behind the Bots or Behind the Bumper segments. Go ahead and reach out to us on any of our social channels, on Discord, or send us an email at admin@firstupdatesnow.com, and let's get your team scheduled to be on First Updates Now.
So Will, we're going to be starting off with the intake of this robot here. So talk to me a little about some of the different mechanisms in it and maybe some of the design process, like what iterations did you go through to get there?
All right, yeah, last year we had a fairly narrow intake, so this year we wanted to try and expand it out to be able to pick up more balls, so that way it's the full width of the robot. We can pick up about 2 at a time. It's fairly standard. We've got a 775 Pro driving it with 2 PVC rollers and then these compliant wheels down at the bottom. To actuate it out, we have a 10-inch long piston with these linear sliders to just push it straight out, just like that. So then that way, whenever we're ready to intake, we can just drive in, the wheels pick it up, and then it just follows the path through it, follows over this wall, and then goes right in.
What is the material you guys have on the rollers here in front?
What's that?
What material are you using
It's just
for this?
PVC.
Oh, just straight up PVC.
Straight up PVC.
Okay. And then what do you do as it goes into your carousel, we'll talk about, but to make sure that the power cells aren't popping out or anything, you just pull your intake back in?
Yeah, we've got these 2 panels on the side. They help them keep from bouncing out. And then, yeah, we can move in intake sometimes and it'll keep them all in once we have them all. But, and then, yeah, sometimes they can get jammed up on each other a little bit, so we'll spin the carousel around a little bit. We don't have it going all the time, but we'll tap it back and forth. Yeah. And sometimes just moving back and forth, it'll help them fall into place.
Well, that's a good segue to talk about your carousel then. Open concept with that, which we're starting to see a lot more teams do, not having the dividers, that sort of thing. Yeah. Did you start out with that, or did you just go with the open concept right away?
We experimented with the dividers, but we found that it was just easiest just to go without them and let them make it work on its own.
Yeah, so talk to me a little bit more about what else went into it, some of the components and mechanisms.
Yeah, so the carousel itself, we have a custom 3D printed bearing, if you can see it through there. It's got about 240 or so teeth on it, and it's driven through a bag motor, if you can see it right there. So that just spins it around, and then to actuate it up into the shooter, we have our indexer mechanism. So that has an omni wheel. As the balls spin around, they just glide past the omni wheel, and once we're ready to shoot, we'll kick up that omni wheel, it'll spin it up, and then it's compressed between this other Coulson wheel, then just moves it straight up into the shooter.
So can we see the spindexer, the carousel actually working here, and we can see how that kind of kicks in, then we'll go into the shooter next as well.
All right, go ahead, Jackson. Then you want to go and pick it up. There we go.
So that kicker is very efficient, it looks like, to get in there. So that's just that one omni wheel. However, do you have that Coulson in the back too?
It's the only one making contact at first, and then as it kicks it up, it compresses between the Coulson wheel as well.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Well, let's go over to Jackson next. He's going to be talking about the shooter first, and then we'll talk about this really cool control console you have as well too. But talking about the shooter, really want to hear, you got a couple bigger Coulsons on there, but talk to me about some of the flywheels that go into that, the motors, and any other code that you might use for it too.
All right, so as we see the indexer down here, that omni wheel picks up into the shooter mechanism, and from here we have 2 sets of wheels, both controlled by the same 2 motors. And those are on PID loops, so the moment that we hit one button on the operating console, they're both going to spin up to full speed, and this omni wheel is going to feed it straight into that bottom set, which is going to pull it, and it's this big set that's really going to give it a lot of speed to shoot out. We have an articulable hood, which is currently locking against me right now, and we also have a turret that can move side to side. We can go a full 180 degrees around so that we can shoot behind ourselves. This is especially useful for trench runs, where we can drive straight out of the trench, already facing the target, for autonomous without having to spend the time to turn around the whole robot. This can go pretty far up, so we can shoot from a variety of positions. We can also shoot straight up against the target by having a very shallow angle and having it arc right into the target. The Limelight is going to aim for us through our code, so we just have to hit one button as a drive crew.
Makes sense for that. Walk me over to this console here. I really love the aesthetics of this, but also very functional as well too.
Yes.
But talk to me a little about why you decided to go this route. Some teams are using 2 Xbox controllers, you're using one with this. How does this work all together, and how does your operator like it?
So this is a Texas Instrument launch board, and we just wire up all these buttons, and we can plug it into the computer, and they'll operate just like a second controller with 16 buttons. And the reason we chose to go for buttons rather than a controller is a controller here is only going to have maybe around 8 usable buttons that the driver's going to have access to, and then we don't need more joysticks. So we decided not to bother with those extra joysticks and just go all buttons. And we've been able to make a custom cut acrylic board here so that we can lay out all our buttons as we want it. We have control of the hood and spindexer / carousel, turret, and then these shooter buttons will automatically align the turret and the hood. These are just for emergency issues where we manually aim. And then we have lift. We have independent control of both arms. So we can do both up and down. And then we have a button that does both at once.
Well, I think that's a good segue to go into Fishboy here. It's going to be talking about, I know you're lifting weights with the drive base there, but since we just talked a little bit about climber, wrap us up anything else on the climber, and then we'll go into your drive base.
So the lift itself actually has several parts to it. In order to make it slide, we had to add in nylon bearings in order for it to move smoothly along the aluminum. We have these springs here that are most commonly used in clocks, actually, that will pull it up from the bottom up to the top, and that's how we go up. And to keep it spooled down, we have this spool that we made right here. In order to save weight, we ended up putting the outside and the CNC machine and giving it this pattern, which we found worked best with the bearings. There's 3 stages. The first stage, which is the outer stage, the second stage, and then the last stage.
Yeah, so we see this go up here, and then wrap us up with the drive base mechanism. I know you guys showing a little prop that you have here for this. So show me what's going on with this.
So this is a spare part that we have for the drive base. It actually has a special feature where we ran the chain through the inside. So despite the fact that the motor only looks like it's connected to the back wheel, all the other wheels are connected. If you were to spin one of the wheels, you'll see they'll all move at the same time.
Sure.
Because of the chain. And in order to do that, we have to dangle the chain down there with the sprockets and fish it out.
Yeah, fair enough. Fish it out for Fishboy there, huh?
Yes, sir.
So, well, 5411, thanks a lot for taking the time to speak to us about your robot and your team. Hopefully get to see us compete. Maybe some other competitions this year, never know. But if not, can't wait to see what you bring in future years. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
We would like to thank our friends at Stryker for supporting this video. Stryker is looking for current and future FIRST alumni to join their internship program, and FIRST mentors who are looking for a great career with a company who actually supports their FIRST journey. Go to careers.stryker.com to learn more. You can also directly support Fun by joining Fun Nation. Click the join button, and just for a few bucks a month, you'll unlock special perks and directly support us so we can keep making great content. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on our new videos. Keep the conversation going and provide your input to our content. Watch our live shows at twitch.tv/firstupdatesnow. Join our Discord at discord.gg/firstupdatesnow. And check out Fun FTC on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and First Updates Now on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.